The Soldier's Tale has a very interesting place in history because it represents a complete change of paradigm. The world has experienced the World War, the world has experienced a pandemic, and the new art looks very different and sounds very different.
The idea of doing The Soldier's Tale as a digital presentation is really exciting because it has an inherent simplicity, but it also lends itself very, very well to a multi-layered treatment. The visual aesthetic refers a lot to the period of its composition, and I think the idea was to kind of refer to that very strong, very graphic visual aesthetic, but do something which is of now.
I always felt that The Soldier's Tale needs a very sort of distinct, very specific visual world to exist in, because the music is so clearly defined and then the story has this sort of unique identity. So I thought the director of this has to have a very strong visual concept. The Nisha is, of course, that's her thing.
And so what we're doing is we're doing a kind of a double performance because we've made a very theatrical performance for the space which we have then filmed, and we're translating that into a kind of digital theatre. My thinking behind this Soldier's Tale and there being one narrator was very, very important part of the process because, you know, often this piece is performed with myriad performers. And Bruce Davison, I mean, who better to embody this kind of a multi-layered personality?
I'm playing 4 characters, and it's usually done with 4 characters playing different parts. So I'm arguing with myself, and I'm screaming at myself, and then cowering to myself.
Oh no! It's not his anymore!
He's utterly virtuosic and extremely fluent. And what I was working towards with Bruce is the idea that The Soldier's Tale is actually about one person.
Marches all the day.
Nisha has had this brilliant concept, I think, of making it as a man's inner monologue, an inner dialogue with himself. So everything is much more internal, and the torture comes out of the character facing these demons and these falls. And that's really an interesting take on Stravinsky this time around. I haven't seen it done like this before. I'm surrounded by myself at 360 degrees and trying to keep up with a brilliant chamber orchestra, and it's a tightrope.
The sound world of the L'Histoire, The Soldier's Tale, is very, very identifiable. There's no echo. Everything is dry, everything is very clearly defined. The way he uses this septet, the 7 players, is very theatrical. First of all, they play music which is totally idiomatic for the instrument. You couldn't swap the parts around. The other special thing about this score is that every musician is an actor as well. They have a dramaturgical function. So they are as much part of the drama as the narrator and the dancer would be.
We all wear different hats throughout the piece. So sometimes I'm the soldier, sometimes I am background music to other solos going around. And then other times I'm not really a character as much as I'm a feeling of coming home, of being grounded. It's kind of a sentimental moment of the whole piece where all the winds especially are in chorale together.
The role of the dancer is very interesting. She's a rather mysterious figure, possibly a figment of his imagination. We have such an extraordinary performer in Adji because she brings not only an extraordinary choreography that she did herself, She understood the piece straight away, and the flavor of the piece, which is not straightforward. And we only see her, as you say, in 2D. But I feel that her presence is very 3D. She brings a lot of life. And for me, in this piece, she represents light. She is hope. And it is a piece that fundamentally is about the loss of hope, or a kind of resilience and the struggle.
A lot of it was the improvisation and building up to something. So how do you build up to hope when you maybe first feel like, there is none, and then you kind of expand and expand, and then you get to that like complete freedom of like everything is possible. Hope is something that you always want to have, especially if there's darkness, right? Like hope gives you that light. So kind of trying to do that within and then transfer that through movement.
She represents nature and things that are real and tangible, and she is full of joy. She lights up the screen, she lights up the room.
I wasn't something that you could put in a box that even has just one character, but I was everything. I felt like it gave me a chance to explore how can I show multiple emotions, multiple personalities all within me. I got inspiration from that in the moment, getting inspiration from the music itself and what it kind of embodied.
Okay, stand by, thank you. Music and go.
That's the experience I hope the audience will carry with them after having seen this, that there are several layers. There are more than one or two layers in this. And the experience should go through all the layers of the psyche.
It asks perhaps more questions than it answers. And I like that very much. I think that's a nice place for us to be at this moment in time, where self-reflection is critical. It's not optional at the moment, it's critical. And this piece, I think, is one of the pieces that really enables that and in a way, insists.
All great art is hopeful, because it's the implicit statement that great art makes. So it's here to last, to stay with us for centuries. What it needs to stay with us for centuries is a future.